Hi, everyone. This is a weird video for me to be making. I don't really talk about Power Rangers. It's not the part of tokusatsu that I'm really all that passionate about. But just like everyone else who talks about toku, it's because I grew up watching Power Rangers. And I honestly just want to talk about my experiences with Tommy Oliver and a little bit about the untimely passing of Jason David Frank. I'm making this video entirely for myself. I'm not monetizing this video and I'm not jumping for new content. I just want to talk and have some kind of outlet. I was at the perfect age range during the height of Power Rangers mania. I remember watching the Green with Evil miniseries as it was coming out, and it was probably like the most intense thing I had ever seen in my life up until that point. I specifically remember this feeling of being a kid with this feeling of like betrayal and like having my safety violated. Specifically scenes where like the Green Ranger enters the Megazord and rips all the Power Rangers out. Or when he goes in the command center and starts tearing it apart, taking away that kind of like sense of safety. I'm sure it's not that unique, but I had a very challenging home life at that time, and this was my way to escape. And having this strong sense of like narrative and it's hard to put into words how this show was kind of like that escape for me at this young age. And seeing like Zordon disappear and not knowing if he's going to come back because you're a kid, it easily made me feel devastated. Like I was furious at the time. And of course, as the miniseries goes on, you learn that Tommy Oliver is being manipulated and he has a redemption arc and he becomes the coolest Power Ranger in the world. It like blew my mind open about the possibilities of stories and escapism and all of these little lessons that I don't think I fully would internalize till a little later in life. Like every other kid on the playground, I became obsessed with Tommy Oliver. There was a playground behind my house growing up, and I remember pretending the jungle gym was a Megazord, wishing so bad my name was Tommy because I thought it was the coolest name in the world, and not Chris Heisey. I would take paper bags from the grocery store because the bottom had a triangle on it where it folded, and I would cut it up and make it look like the dragon shield and wear it around the backyard, hitting trees with sticks, pretending they're monsters. I remember being a kid staring at the ceiling, daydreaming about having a dragon dagger. This is when buying Power Ranger toys was almost impossible. Toys R Us had a 6-month waiting list that they eventually discontinued, and my parents weren't financially stable. So I'd make my own dragon dagger out of aluminum foil and I'd hum the dragon theme. And I'd have to wait over 20 years to be able to hold a stupid toy from a show. The Green Ranger was a huge part of my childhood, and I wasn't alone. Power Rangers was a phenomenon. It was a phenomenon embodied by Jason David Frank. And I want to say thank you. Thank you for breathing life into the character of Tommy Oliver. Thank you for helping to develop a franchise that became a huge part of my adult life. One of the coolest things about Power Rangers is that it spanned so many generations. For me, the Green Ranger is my Tommy Oliver. For some of my younger friends, it's the White Ranger. For others, it's the Red Ranger. For some, it's Dr. Oliver as the Black Ranger. Jason David Frank was the face of Power Rangers for so many people. Over the years, I've heard a lot of unfair comments towards him about how he's overrated or how he's not really the face of the franchise. And I understand where all that comes from. There's a lot of people in Power Rangers. It's a lot of time. It spans a lot of years. But he arguably was Power Rangers for a lot of people. But he was also more than that. He was a person. He was a father. He wasn't just some character on a TV show. He had flaws. There was a lot of uncomfortable news that came out about his personal life. There were videos circulating from conventions where he was very publicly struggling. And when the news of his death came out yesterday, I had people reaching out to me left and right. These are people who didn't carry Power Rangers into their adulthood. And most of them were devastated. I was upset, and I had a few friends wonder if his death was related to substance abuse. And when we still didn't know, I just had a weight in the pit of my stomach. A few hours went by, and it was announced that it was a death by suicide. And I felt my heart break for him, his family, and everyone who actually knew him. I didn't know Jason David Frank, and I never will. I can't imagine the stress or the internal self image or trying to live a life battling through highlights of your mistakes in TMZ articles. I don't know what he was dealing with, but this kind of death always hits closer to home. While I don't know his exact struggles, I do know what it's like to feel alone or feeling like you just want to control things through impermanence. He was a person, he was a father, he was a friend to a lot of people, and he mattered to a lot of people. And now he's gone, and that sucks. I don't have words to make this okay. But what I can say is, regardless of status or profession, just remember that people are still human. It's so easy to dogpile a celebrity and bask in the flames of somebody else struggling. But remember, they're someone's father, there's someone's friend, there's someone's son, they're somebody. They matter. And if you're ever in that place, just remember you matter. I'm sorry to Jason David Frank's family and friends and people who cared about him and knew him. I'm sorry to all the fans that have to feel this as a communal loss. And I'm sorry to anybody who feels this type of loss. Whether you're part of the Power Rangers community or you're just somebody who had this hero in childhood, please, as much as possible, be well.